What is up, CCHers? It's Caleb. I hope you guys are having a great time. It's been 3 weeks since school finished. It's wild. It feels like forever ago. So yeah, I am here to talk to you guys about some chapters in the Bible that's so exciting. And even though I can't be with everybody and none of us can really be together physically, I'm so glad that we get to do this and we get to be together in spirit. I think that that's so important. So what have I been doing? What have I been up to since everybody's been asking? I'm at Purdue right now in West Lafayette. I'm doing research on rocket propulsion. It's really cool. Unfortunately, I can't really talk about the stuff that I'm working on because it's technically all like confidential, and if I told people, especially like on a YouTube video for instance, I could go to jail. So I'm not going to be doing that today, unfortunately. I love you guys all very much. Not that much. But yeah, things have been really cool. I've actually got to move into it's like the Christian campus house here at Purdue, but they just call it campus house, so it's kind of interesting, like just talking to the different guys here and like how we're different, and it's been kind of cool to see those differences, and maybe we could take some of the stuff that they do here up to try, and I think that would be really great. And then funny, interesting things is something that you guys could be praying for me for is just I had an interaction with some Mormons. They like came up to me, like tried to witness, and I was like, all right, like let's go for it. And so we actually went out to eat just last week, and then we're going out to eat again tomorrow, but when this gets posted it'll be yesterday because we're going out to eat on Thursday. So if you guys would be praying, hopefully that goes well. We're gonna try to witness to me, but I'm gonna try to do a little Uno reverse card. We'll see how that goes. Obviously with gentleness and respect, as 1 Peter 3:15 would have it. But I'm here to talk to you guys about Proverbs 6 and 7 and Psalms 19 and 20. So, much like Jordan and Zach have done, if you have not read them, pause that video. Pause it right now. Go read them. They're not that long. They're great reads. And it's God, man. Like, how can you not read that? Like, dude, what are you doing? You have all the free time in the world. It's summer. Come on, you're not fooling anybody. So hopefully you've paused it and read it if you hadn't already. But I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna start with Proverbs. We're gonna go with 6 and 7. And I kind of just like took some pieces here and there that I thought were, really good things to like breathe life just into all of our lives. So the first thing, this little section here in chapter 6, verses 6 through 11, just go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. And then skipping down to verse 10, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding into the hands of rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. So interesting, like this idea that if we are lazy and if we're not active in doing things, that's when poverty will come upon us. And I think that there's really a deeper message here, just in the fact that I think that this applies to our faith, especially, if we're not continually reading and in devotion and trying to memorize scripture, looking at you, Ike Sheehan, that's when the devil and his demons, that's when they're going to come after us. And so that was kind of a little parallel I drew, and then I loved in verse 20 and 22 how it says, my son, keep your father's commandments, do not forsake your mother's teaching. And then skipping to verse 22, how it just says, they will watch over you. When you awake, they will talk with you. And I think that that's like, I don't know, I just really liked the phrasing of that. I thought it was really cool. Just like how, I don't know, father's commandments, mother's teaching, like, do I forsake that sometimes? Yeah, probably. But I don't know, it's just like, it's a cool idea to think about how teachings and commandments will watch over us and talk with us. And like later down, kind of skipping ahead, into chapter 7 a little bit, like where it says in verse 4, like, you are my sister, saying that to wisdom. And just like how those things can help us in our day-to-day lives with Christ, battling sin, because sin is so difficult. And then kind of going back up here in verses 27 and 28 in chapter 6. I love the imagery here. I love, like, it feels like it's sarcastic a little bit, just how it says, can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes not be burned? Or can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? Obviously talking about adultery here, it's like we trick ourselves. We justify things in our minds, and we get so deep in the trenches thinking like, oh, like I can get away with it. I can do this, that, and the other. And as long as nobody finds out, I'm going to be okay. And obviously that's not true. Like you're gonna get burned, dude. It ain't gonna last. And it's tricky, it's tough. Those words are so pointed, so, direct. Like you are ruining your life. And it talks about that more in chapter 7, which I'll go into. And I'm not gonna read it all. But verses 10 through 20, I think I read that like 3 or 4 times. Like it is so good. Just like how it shows like this story, like you have this woman, the prostitute, like it's so tantalizing, and it takes everything that this young man wants, and just like, oh, you want it really bad, and then like there's this justification, like, oh, her husband, like he's not gonna be there until the next full moon, like we got plenty of time, like you're not going to get caught. You're not going to do this, that, and the other. And then in verse 22, it's just all at once follows her as an ox goes to slaughter. And then verse 26, for a many a victim she is laid low, and all are slain are a mighty throng. It's just, and then actually again in verse 27, going down to the chambers of death. I mean, it's just this whole idea of, specifically with adultery is what it's talking about, obviously, but we trick ourselves with sin, and we think that we can do this, that, and the other, and as long as nobody finds out or we don't get caught, like whatever. It's been really cool just because I've been reading Romans along with this, and I just finished up chapter 6 a couple days ago, and just how it talks about like this idea of letting sin live in our hearts or letting the Spirit live in our hearts. And I think that I really like that, just because like reading Old Testament, New Testament, when they kind of link up, it's so cool, just because this young man, like when he's going to the slaughter, he's letting sin live in his heart. And with every decision that we make, we have those two options, the Spirit or sin, kind of like how Zach was talking about last week, just how we have the two roads, if you will. And I love that, specifically with the idea of wisdom, just because like it's I don't know, there's so much in that idea of wisdom, like I was talking about earlier, just like how they'll watch over you. But yeah, those are the things I got from Proverbs. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump to Psalms 19 and 20. I'll give you a second to get there. Before I start really talking about chapter 19, holy cow, just what a pretty chapter. Just the verbiage here and the symbolism and the actual content is just, it's really, really good. Just starting in verse 1, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. It just paints this picture, like the heavens declare the glory of God. How glorious is he? I don't know. It makes me think of, I don't know if you guys have seen those videos where it like, zooms out to like the different planets and stars in the universe that we've discovered. And it's like, that's the glory of God. But yeah, so then jumping to verse 7, I love this verse. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. And it's so interesting, just like how in the New Testament, people like look at the law like it's bad, and it's not what was supposed to be around. Like this New Testament Jesus is what we really need. But this verse is such a good reminder that the law of the Lord is perfect. The actual law is perfect, but it's us that messed it up. I was reading it, and I was thinking about that, and I kind of chuckled to myself. I'm laughing about it in my head right now. Just like, I don't know, just how sinful we are. It's nice to sometimes remember that, when we're getting prideful or when we're on our high horse. But yeah. And then jumping to Psalms 20, verses 7 and 8. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. They collapse and fall, but we will rise and stand upright. I really wish Zach had this chapter, because I'm sure he could just go into depth about all of the kingdoms of the earth, just the different things that, everybody thinks like, oh, it's going to last forever. The Roman Empire, the rule of 1,000 years, whatever. I'm not a history guy. But just thinking about like all the things, all the different kingdoms and all the different countries and things over history, and just like how God is always there. He always has been. And that's super, super cool. So with that, I conclude like my little synopsis of it. There's so much content in here. If for whatever silly reason you decided to watch this video without reading the chapters, I encourage you, go back, read them. Even if you already did read them again. I know that it's so powerful, and it helps you digest it more when you read it a couple more times than just once. But yeah, with that being said, I wanted to leave you guys with a couple of things. Something that's been really interesting to me with research and engaging with different students in that atmosphere. One of the chemistry guys that I worked with, he's a Christian, and he said something that was really, really fascinating to me. He was like, a lot of the people in this situation are either really, really good Christians or really, really not Christians. Just because like they either look at all the things that they do in research and they think like, wow, God is present, God is there. Or they look at all the things that they do and they think that like they are God. They're creating all these things. They're the one discovering it. And that was just a cool outlook that I thought I'd share with you guys. A lot of us are college students, and I think that idea might be more present on college campuses than we realize. And then the second thing I wanted to leave with you is there's so much content. It's the Bible. You could look at it 1,000 different ways and get a new idea out of it. So if you guys are interested, I think if you guys saw something that I didn't, or I didn't say specifically, feel free on this YouTube video, comment like, hey man, like in verse 19, I can't believe how you just skipped over verse 8. You're a clown. Feel free to say that. Obviously this doesn't have to be like a discussion post for class. That's kind of lame, but talk with each other. Like, we have this community, use it, utilize it, talk to people. And then, you don't have to just talk about the Bible, talk about how you guys are doing, stay connected. And then the last thing I want to leave with you, the best way to stay connected, especially right before the school year, is to make sure that you register for that summer retreat. It's going to be so much fun. I know last summer, like, it was just an absolute blast. And it's such a cool time where you get to kind of prepare for the fall semester, take a break from everything that you're doing and just focus on, it's like a strategy meeting, how I thought of it. Just, like, how are we gonna get people to do these things, and then where do we go from there? And it's so much fun. Go up to Pokagon, Lake James, all that stuff. It's so much fun. If you have like an inkling and you're like, I don't know if I want to do it, talk to somebody who went last summer. There's so many people. Just ask. But with that, I love you guys all so much. I hope you guys are ready for Kaylee. Little spoiler, Kaylee will be talking about next week's. But yeah, see you guys later.